Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we take some of the most profoundly contested questions that have divided humanity for centuries. Questions of land, of a belief, and of interpretation, and we don't just scratch the surface. Today we're plunging into an idea, a place, that asks, what if there was a forum designed specifically to unpack these ancient debates? Not to crown a winner, but to reveal a far deeper truth.
It's a truly audacious concept, isn't it? To shift the entire goal of confrontation from winning an argument or proving a point to unveiling something fundamental, something shared beneath the surface of our differences.
Exactly.
Our mission in this deep dive is to explore exactly that, drawing from a remarkable and truly unique set of sources that transport us to an almost mythical yet startlingly real location.
Absolutely. This deep dive is all about extracting crucial insights from a source that, while fictional, offers a deeply insightful exploration called The Garden of Last Debates. It's a narrative that plunges us headfirst into some of the most challenging and persistent questions of our time, from the very nature of religious truths and divine presence to the future of humanity itself. Our goal: to help you understand what's truly at stake, not just in these epic clashes of ideas, but within our own understanding of reality.
That's right. The aim here is to get you well-informed quickly, but also thoroughly, to find those aha moments that stick with you without ever feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information.
Yeah, cut through the noise.
Precisely. And this particular deep dive into the Garden of Last Debates truly delivers on surprising facts and truly memorable details, offering perspectives you likely haven't encountered before.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our journey begins at what the source calls the Garden Circle.
Okay.
Imagine for a moment stepping into a vast, sprawling, 100-acre compound.
100 acres, yeah.
It's a place where hypertechnology and mystical fertility intertwine so seamlessly you can't tell where one ends and the other begins.
That blend is key.
The entire area is shaped as a perfect circle, almost like a natural amphitheater, opening directly into the serene expanse of the Red Sea. The source doesn't just describe it, it evokes it as Eden rebuilt by human hands, yet with an almost palpable sense that something ancient and profound is moving beneath its surface, a pulse beneath the living ground itself.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here is how the environment itself becomes a character, almost an active participant in the debates.
How so?
Well, the entire circle is enclosed within this transparent dome, not just glass, but described as a living, crystalline membrane that maintains ideal environmental conditions.
Living, like biological.
Sort of, yeah. It breathes almost. We're
Yeah.
talking about orchards where the leaves shimmer with every hue of the rainbow, not just green, and flowers blooming, not randomly, but in perfect rhythmic sequences, almost like a silent, living symphony. Even the waterfalls apparently defy gravity, curving upwards into the dome. It's a place where nothing seems overtly built. Everything seems to have grown organically, forming structures that blend seamlessly with the natural topography. Hill-valley architecture, spiral glass pillars just rising out of the earth, floating platforms.
It sounds incredibly immersive, doesn't it? But beyond the stunning visuals, the way guests are even invited sets this whole profound tone. What did the source reveal about this invitation process?
Oh, it's wild. These aren't your typical conference invites, right?
Definitely not.
Yes, and it's this meticulously diverse group. Religious leaders, intellectual figures, scientists. They receive these ancient-looking handwritten scrolls.
Handwritten.
Yeah, and they're not delivered by FedEx, but by a luminous orb that just appears and disappears, like a ghost in the daylight, the source says.
That's unsettling.
Yeah.
Symbolic, I guess.
It's a truly otherworldly arrival, isn't it? The message on the scrolls is cryptic, yet potent, almost a prophecy in itself. The world is at a turning point. Debate, discern, and discover what remains of truth. The age is ending. Your voice is needed.
The age is ending. That's heavy.
Oh, right. And there's no signature, no return address, just this powerful, enigmatic spiral within a circle glyph. This immediately signals that something far beyond a typical academic discourse, something profound, maybe even apocalyptic, is about to unfold. These are not merely debates, they are last debates.
Which brings us to Arvin. His introduction is truly pivotal, isn't it? The narrative paints him as a Sadhguru-like mystic.
Yeah, for listeners maybe unfamiliar, think of a contemporary spiritual leader deeply rooted in ancient Indian wisdom, known for profound teachings, this kind of unwavering inner calm.
And this presence, right. The source describes his mere presence as silencing birds and causing the wind to pause. It immediately establishes him as a figure of immense spiritual authority.
Yeah, you feel that weight immediately. His initial statement to the assembled guests is incredibly powerful, cutting straight to the heart of the garden's purpose. He tells them with this almost unnerving stillness, "You are not here to convert. You're here to reveal."
Reveal, not convert. Big difference.
Huge. He calls it the Garden of Last Debates, asserting that lies will burn away, truth will not tremble, and then that haunting, almost prophetic line that truly sets the stakes. You do not have to believe in the end of this age, but it believes in you.
Oof, that gives me chills. It hints at this larger cosmic shift, forcing everyone present, and us as listeners, to confront the possibility of a world irrevocably changed.
Exactly. It's not optional.
So, what follows that powerful opening is a series of these deeply contentious debates. The first one, a real flashpoint that has echoes in our own world, is the question of Palestine.
Right, and the setting itself is significant. The stage is set over an artificial lake of lilies, a really symbolic choice for such a charged topic, almost suggesting purity or rebirth within a space of deep conflict.
So who are the debaters here?
On one side, we have Sarah Elian, described as a Palestinian scholar and activist, with a quiet fire in her voice, this profound intensity beneath a calm exterior.
Okay.
On the other, Reuven Ben-Ami, an Orthodox Jew, sharp and witty, but visibly carrying the weight of generations of suffering and longing.
Got it. So Sarah's perspective.
Sarah's opening is profoundly impactful. She dives straight into the living memory of the Nakba, the catastrophe of 1948.
The source really emphasizes this, doesn't it? Not just history, but memory.
Precisely. It wasn't just a date, but this seismic event where, for her people, over 700,000 Palestinians were displaced or expelled, hundreds of villages depopulated, their very names often erased or repurposed.
Okay.
She speaks with this quiet authority, stating, "I come not to accuse, but to remember."
Powerful framing.
She speaks of her ancestors' centuries-long presence, this continuous thread of life on that land, brutally severed. Her question cuts to the core. What does it mean to have a land stolen? It means never exhaling. It's a powerful articulation of a people's profound sense of loss, a generational trauma that permeates every breath.
Wow. Never exhaling. And Reuven's counter, how does he respond to that?
It's equally poignant. It's not an angry rebuttal, but this raw, vulnerable explanation. He begins, "I come not to justify, I come to explain."
Okay.
He recounts the Jewish history of exile, this 2,000-year odyssey of persecution pogroms, ghettos, the unfathomable horror of the gas chambers. He speaks of the continuous, aching prayer next year in Jerusalem, the unwavering longing for return to what we called home.
The weight of history on both sides is just immense.
Absolutely. But then here's where it gets really interesting. He makes this profound, almost shattering admission. But in returning, we did not see you. That is our sin.
Whoa, he says that.
Yes, he continues. Zionism was born out of desperation. But in desperation, we hardened our hearts. We took, we fenced, we forgot. This isn't presented as a political statement in the source, more like this deeply human, almost spiritual acknowledgement of unintended harm, a recognition of the other that was overlooked in their own journey of return.
That admission is truly a turning point, isn't it? It moves beyond just blame.
Totally. It's not about assigning blame or winning a historical argument, but about recognizing a shared humanity and the complex layers of suffering. Then Rachel Cohen, who's described as a Jewish esoteric thinker, interjects with a perspective that transcends the immediate conflict. The land does not belong to us. We belong to it.
Shifting the whole paradigm from ownership to stewardship.
Exactly. From possession to belonging, suggesting this deeper symbiotic relationship. Arvin then poses a question that reverberates through the garden. Does land have memory? And if so, can it forgive?
Can land forgive?
And this leads to an extraordinary moment where a projection appears and the land itself seems to speak, stating with a voice both ancient and present, "I remember all of you. None of you are foreigners here." This transcends the human conflict, inviting this fundamentally different, almost sacred perspective on belonging.
And the symbolic act that follows that revelation is truly moving, a moment that cuts through centuries of animosity.
It really is. Sarah asks Reuven with this quiet strength, "Will you walk with me?"
A simple question, but loaded with meaning.
Absolutely. After a profound moment of hesitation, you see this visible struggle with generations of ingrained separation, he agrees. They both step into the mirror water of the lake, and as they wade deeper, their reflections merge, blurring the lines of their individual identities, symbolizing this profound, if fragile, unity.
And Arvin's comment.
His benediction underlines the significance. This was not resolution. This was revelation.
Okay, let's pause there. For our listeners, how does the source differentiate between those two? Because for many, particularly in real-world conflicts, the immediate question might be, but what about the resolution? How does a revelation translate into tangible change?
That's a crucial distinction the source continually emphasizes. You're right. Resolution often implies a definitive end, a practical solution where one side wins or a compromise is reached, like a treaty or a land division.
Right, the practical stuff.
But revelation, as demonstrated here, is about a breakthrough in understanding, an unveiling of a deeper truth that fundamentally shifts perception and empathy. It's not about solving the political conflict right there and then.
Which is probably impossible in that moment anyway.
Exactly. It's about creating the conditions for a future solution by changing the hearts and minds of the participants. It's a moment of profound recognition that doesn't erase the past, but begins to heal its wounds by fostering a shared understanding of suffering and belonging. It shows that true progress often begins with a shift in consciousness, not just policy.
So the revelation is the necessary precursor to any lasting resolution.
That seems to be the idea presented.
Yeah, okay. From land, the debates naturally shift to belief itself, tackling one of humanity's oldest and most divisive questions. The one true religion, exclusivity versus plurality.
And again, the setting matters. Here, the stage is bathed in a singular, pure white light. On one side, Father Thomas Klein, an American evangelical Christian, embodying this unwavering conviction.
Okay, representing the exclusivity side, presumably.
Right. Pitted against Yadidev, described as a Ramdev Baba-esque yogi, think incredible flexibility, both physically and philosophically, deeply rooted in ancient Indian spiritual traditions.
The pluralistic view.
Seems so. And the drone, its voice serene yet direct, poses the stark question: is Christianity the only true path?
No beating around the bush there.
Nope. Klein, as you'd expect, makes a strong, unequivocal claim rooted in his literal interpretation of Scripture. He asserts with absolute certainty, one shepherd, one flock, one door to salvation, all other gods are false.
Pretty standard evangelical position.
Right. And he doesn't shy away from direct accusation addressing Yadidev. You worship many gods, idols, statues. Your religion is confusion. It is chaos. It's a direct challenge to the pluralistic, multi-deity nature of Hinduism, framed as a theological imperative for singular truth.
Yadidev's response. How does he counter that kind of certainty?
His response is incredibly insightful, almost playful in its wisdom. He gently points out the perceived contradiction in Klein's own faith.
Oh, interesting. How?
He says, you believe in one God, and yet you believe in angels, archangels, seraphim, we call them devas, small g gods. Forces of nature, none above the source.
So drawing a parallel between angels and devas.
Exactly. His core argument is that the difference is not in the object of worship, but the lens through which it's viewed. You pray through the symbol. We see God in every stone, every river, every breath. We do not limit God to one name, to one son, we say. All names are His, all forms are His.
That's a fundamentally different way of seeing the divine.
Completely.
Yeah.
He then uses this beautiful and evocative metaphor, the parable of light, asking, does the sun shine only on one road, one house, one path, or does it illuminate everything equally?
Nice.
He then declares, truth is not a gate. Truth is a field. You do not walk to it. You wake up in it. This fundamentally reframes the quest for spiritual understanding from a linear, exclusive journey to an all-encompassing, inclusive state of being.
So it's not about finding the one right path, but realizing you're already in the truth, just maybe not aware of it.
That's the gist. He even suggests that Christ, in his view, was a great yogi, an avatar of compassion, implying a shared spiritual lineage rather than an exclusive one.
That's bound to provoke a reaction.
Oh, it does. This immediately raises an important and challenging question from the audience, voiced through a drone. What happens to the billions born before him, or outside his reach, if Christ is the only path?
The classic question for exclusivist claims.
Right. Klein, unwavering, insists that God is just, he makes ways we do not see, but salvation comes only through Christ. Yadi counters with a soft but firm tone. Then your God is partial. Ours is not.
Partial versus universal. That's a deep theological divide.
It really is. It strikes at the very nature of divine justice and love. And then the garden's immersive mirror pond feature activates.
What does that do?
It apparently reveals their inner selves. Klein is shown as a fearful boy, clinging to certainty, and Yadi as a weeping hermit, perhaps burdened by the suffering of the world. It's a powerful moment of shared, unadulterated vulnerability that cuts through their theological defenses.
So the garden itself forces this deeper level of honesty.
Seems like it. It strips away the pretense. Imam Farid then intervenes with a crucial mediating perspective, speaking to both of them. Truth is a mirror shattered in time. Your scriptures are maps, not destinations. They point to the mountain, but they are not the mountain itself.
Maps, not destinations. I like that.
It allows Klein a visible softening, a crack in his armor of certainty as he acknowledges, if your path leads to love, then perhaps we walk two sides of the same mountain.
A significant shift for him.
Huge. And Yadi, with a gentle smile, responds, all rivers meet. The ocean does not demand passports. It's a powerful move beyond rigid dogma towards a recognition of a shared spiritual journey, acknowledging multiple valid paths to the same ultimate reality.
Okay, so moving from general religious truth, the debates then tackle a deeply sensitive and often controversial issue: Islam and the shadow of tyranny interpretation versus cruelty.
Yeah, this one's intense. The question posed by the drone is volatile, direct, and designed to expose raw nerves. Is Islam a religion of peace or tyranny? What of apostasy, kafir, and the devil's deception?
Setting up a clear conflict. Who are the figures here?
This is where Sheikh Tariq Shamal, presented as an extremist cleric, enters the fray, a man whose rigid interpretations have fostered fear. He's pitted against the moderate Imam Farid al-Husseini, who embodies compassion and nuance.
Okay, the hardliner versus the moderate interpreter. How does Tariq respond?
Sheikh Tariq immediately takes a hardline stance, interpreting scripture with uncompromising severity. He declares that to leave Islam after knowing the truth is not merely a mistake, it is betrayal, apostasy is a rupture, it invites judgment.
So capital offense in his view.
The implication is certainly severe judgment. He defines kafir not simply as a non-believer, but as one who knows and rejects the truth, a spiritual crime warranting condemnation. He even tries to deflect, pointing to historical atrocities by other powers, seemingly avoiding the direct question about Islam itself. His voice drips with this almost self-righteous certainty.
And Imam Farid, how does he counter that harsh interpretation?
Imam Farid counters with the very core of Islamic teachings, focusing on the trine attributes. He reminds everyone that God is Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
Centering mercy.
Exactly. He emphasizes with a quiet passion that nowhere does it say to kill those who leave. That comes from interpretations, cultural overlays, politics in robes wearing the cloak of God to justify human cruelty.
Politics in robes, that's a powerful phrase.
Isn't it? He directly tells Tariq, his voice firm but not angry, what you preach is not Islam, it is fear wearing a beard. This distinction between divine mercy and human cruelty, between interpretation and immutable truth, is absolutely crucial in their exchange.
And then Yadi Dev gets involved again.
Of course. Yadi Dev, ever the provocateur of sacred cows, steps in with a question that highlights a profound perceived hypocrisy. He turns to Tariq. You throw stones at a stone in Mecca. You say it's the devil.
Referring to the Hajj ritual.
Right. You can see the devil in a stone, but not God in one. That's the devil's deception itself. It's a direct challenge to the selective application of spiritual principle, forcing a confrontation with internal contradictions.
That's a sharp point. How does he elaborate?
He asserts with piercing insight that the devil thrives in absolute certainty, in the voice that says, only I am right. This is a profound challenge to any absolute exclusive claim to truth, suggesting that the very certainty of one's own righteousness can be the devil's most potent disguise.
So certainty itself can be the trap. The climax of this debate sounds intense.
It is. Tariq, overcome with rage at Yadi's direct challenge, his face contorting, stands poised to unleash this furious retort. But before he can, a child's voice cuts through the tension, clear and unburdened by dogma. Then I choose love, even if it burns.
Wow, from a child.
Yeah. This simple, profound statement from innocence completely disarms the escalating anger. The garden itself then intervenes in a truly remarkable way.
How does the garden intervene this time?
Fruits, shimmering with an inner light, fall from the trees, each one apparently matching the vibration of the speaker's message. Farid's is described as sweet and nourishing, Yadi's sharp and invigorating.
And Tariq's?
And Tariq's, when he finally tries to speak again, burns the tongue with a bitter, acrid taste. Arvind frames this as not a condemnation. This was a cleansing. It's about experiencing the truth of each message on a visceral, embodied level, rather than just intellectually.
Experiencing the taste of the teaching. That's fascinating. Next up,
Next, the focus shifts to the Jesus question shared stories, veiled truths, a deeply complex and emotionally charged topic at the intersection of Christianity and Judaism.
Right, the Messiah question.
Exactly. The debate centers on the Christian claim that Jews must accept Jesus for salvation versus the Jewish interpretation of the Messiah, which often sees Jesus as not fulfilling the traditional messianic prophecies. Father Klein again asserts his position, unwavering. Jesus is the only pathway to eternal life. Judaism is fulfilled in Christ. It's a statement that historically has been deeply problematic for many Jews.
Representing theological erasure, essentially. How does Riv Enemy respond this time?
His response is incredibly insightful and deeply empathetic. He says with a profound sigh, "We have not denied Christ, we have misunderstood him, and perhaps in our waiting we have also been misunderstood."
Acknowledging mutual misunderstanding.
Yes. He points out that Jews were promised a Messiah, a king who would bring peace, usher in an era of universal understanding and justice, a physical restoration of Israel. We do not see those fulfilled in Jesus, he states.
The unfulfilled prophecies argument.
Correct. Yet he then offers this truly poignant and groundbreaking thought, his voice laced with a surprising hope. Perhaps we are both waiting, but for the same person.
Wow. That reframes everything. Not conflict, but shared anticipation.
It suggests a shared rather than a conflicting future, a convergence of expectation. This raises an important point about convergence in the deep roots of faith. Rachel Cohen reiterates this connection with a tone of gentle correction.
Reminding Klein of the context.
Exactly, she says. Jesus was a Jew. He prayed in Hebrew. He celebrated the feasts. You inherited him. You birthed him. This highlights the deep historical and spiritual connections often overlooked in theological debates, reminding Christians of the Jewish lineage of their central figure.
An important historical reminder.
Yeah.
And Yadi Dev weighs in.
Naturally. Ever ready with a parable, he adds his parable of the lamp, suggesting perhaps Jesus did not come to be accepted, he came to illuminate.
Shifting focus from identity to function.
Precisely. It's about seeing the function and purpose of a spiritual figure beyond just his identity or the dogmas built around him. He's a source of light, not a gatekeeper.
And then the garden does something visual again.
Yes. The narrative then shifts, and the garden projects this stunning visual, a projection of ages. It illustrates shared histories. Abraham, Moses, David, Jesus, the cycles of exile and return, the formation of the church, the Holocaust, the modern return to Israel, all connected in a single overarching spiral.
A powerful visualization of that interconnected spiritual journey.
Absolutely. Arvin, with a knowing glance, asks, what if this age is not a conflict, but a gestation? This allows for a profound synthesis. Klanar, visibly moved by the intertwining narratives, admits, I once thought truth was a sword, now I wonder if it is a song.
From weapon to harmony. That's quite a shift.
And Reuven, responding to the melody, adds, and we are notes. Arvin concludes with this beautiful, almost poetic image of reconciliation. When the lion lies down with the lamb, it does not forget it was once a predator. It remembers what peace feels like.
It's not about erasing history or past harms, but about transcending them through a new kind of memory, the memory of peace and shared existence.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. The fifth debate, the stone and the spirit, idolatry and sacredness, directly challenges common perceptions of worship and what constitutes true reverence. Yadi Dev kicks this one off.
Back to Yadi's earlier point about the stone in Mecca.
Exactly. He circles back, questioning what he perceives as a profound inconsistency. He highlights how Muslims symbolically throw stones at a pillar representing the devil, yet often criticize other faiths for seeing God in sacred objects or statues. He challenges Tariq directly. My Muslim brothers, you accept the devil lives in stone, but mock us when we say God does too.
Pushing that perceived contradiction again.
Right. He then asks the core question. Is idolatry misunderstanding or misdirection? Is it truly bowing to a false god, or is it a limited understanding of where the divine can manifest?
Trying to redefine idolatry itself. How does Imam Farid respond?
Imam Farid, always seeking nuance, tries to provide context. He explains the Hajj stone is a symbolic rejection, a marker, not an idol. He emphasizes that for Muslims, God is above, beyond, transcendent, not dwelling in matter, but encompassing it.
The transcendence argument.
But Yadi's immediate counter, so he made all matter, but cannot dwell in it. He breathes life into every atom, but is constrained from manifesting within a form crafted by human hands in his image. Cuts right to the heart of the theological contradiction, highlighting the fluidity of divine presence or its perceived absence.
It's a challenging question about the limits placed on the divine.
And this is where Brahmananda Param, a new Hindu mystic introduced here, contributes a profoundly elegant perspective. He asserts with serene conviction, God is not trapped in the stone, but the stone remembers him better than we do.
The stone remembers him better than we do. That's beautiful.
Isn't it? He then performs this extraordinary act, conjuring a stone statue of Ganesha, the elephant-headed deity of wisdom, from particles of light and dust, asking Tariq, is this your devil? Or is this memory? Is it merely stone or a channel for remembrance?
How does Tariq react to that?
Predictably, perhaps, in a furious, visceral response, he screams blasphemy and smashes the projection, shattering it into countless pieces.
Oh, wow. Violence against a projection.
But from its very pieces, a luminous lotus grows, blossoming in defiance of destruction. Arvin's observation, delivered with profound calm, even destruction can bloom, is a powerful meta-commentary on the entire process of the garden. It suggests truth and beauty can emerge even from the most violent acts of rejection.
A lesson in resilience, maybe. What's the takeaway?
The lesson is clear, articulated by Arvin himself. The form is a doorway, not the destination. He continues, when you defend the statue more than the person beside it, when the stone stops breathing and your heart grows rigid in its defense, that's when it becomes an obsession, not devotion.
A warning against fundamentalism, putting the symbol above the substance.
Exactly. It's against elevating ritual or symbol above compassion and connection. Arvin's final word on this echoes through the garden. God does not dwell in one form, but he meets us in all forms, for our sake. It's about seeing beyond the literal, beyond the form, to the underlying divine presence and purpose that manifests in countless ways for the sake of humanity's understanding.
So after all these intense external debates, the focus shifts inward.
It does. From these external debates, where humanity's diverse faiths confront each other, the garden shifts inward, revealing the inner wars, facing one's own shadow.
Facing one's own shadow, how does that work structurally?
For the first time, the sprawling garden arena fragments physically splitting into 3 acoustically private crescents. This intentional design forces each tradition, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, to confront its internal contradictions, its hidden fears, its unexamined beliefs, away from the scrutiny of the others.
Separating them to look inwards.
Precisely. Arvin's directive, almost a challenge, echoes through the newly separated spaces. Every religion carries both torch and shadow. Today, you must face your own.
Okay, so what happens in the Muslim crescent?
A deeply resonant and often hushed debate centers on the Dajjal dilemma. The Dajjal is the Islamic Antichrist figure, often depicted as a one-eyed deceiver who will usher in a period of great tribulation before the return of Jesus.
Right.
The question posed here is radical. Is the Dajjal already among us within our own tradition? Not a single man, but a pervasive influence.
An internal Dajjal?
That's the idea explored. Laila, a graceful Sufi mystic representing the introspective, love-focused branch of Islam, and Ahmed, a reformist Quranist emphasizing direct Quranic interpretation over later traditions, both suggest the Dajjal is not a man, but a system, a mindset. Blind obedience, religious nationalism, fear-driven fatwas.
So the corrupting influence within the faith itself.
Yes. Imam Farid, his voice heavy with revelation, adds that the Dajjal would have one eye. We now look through only one lens sphere. It's a profound reinterpretation, shifting blame from an external, literal enemy to an internal systemic flaw within the faith itself.
That takes courage to confront. What about the Jewish crescent?
Similarly, their focus is the fear of Armilus, another deceiver figure from Jewish eschatology, often depicted as a monstrous anti-Messiah. Rachel Cohen poses a truly uncomfortable question. What if he came and we dismissed him because he didn't fit the script?
Meaning, what if the real deceiver doesn't look like the prophecies expect?
Exactly. What if our rigid expectations of the Messiah's arrival, expecting a conquering hero, blinded us to the true nature of the deceiver? Reuven muses with pensive expression, we expect a warrior. What if we receive a gardener? This highlights the deep-seated expectation for a physical, political Messiah versus a spiritual, transforming one.
The gardener versus the warrior. A potent image.
Rachel concludes that Armilus wins when fear writes our theology, suggesting that rigid adherence to prophecy, born of fear, might ironically blind one to its true fulfillment, or worse, lead one to embrace the very deception they seek to avoid.
Fear as the ultimate enemy again, and in the Christian crescent.
For Christianity, perhaps the most introspective moment, it's Jesus and the false return. The question posed here is agonizing for many. Is the Second Coming narrative being hijacked by forces that deny Christ's spirit?
Hijacked how?
Anna Grace, presented as a Christian mystic, questions the common evangelical interpretations that focus on apocalyptic destruction and vengeance. She asks, why are we so eager for wrath? Why do we paint Jesus as an avenger, not a healer? Michael St. Jude, a theologian, suggests because the devil wears prophecy like a stolen crown.
Using prophecy for unchristlike ends.
Precisely. And Father Klein, after witnessing this intense self-reflection within his own tradition, his face etched with a newfound humility, admits, we have become the Rome we were meant to resist.
Wow. That's a huge admission. Becoming the oppressor.
It's a powerful acknowledgement of how easily a faith can betray its founding principles, mirroring the very systems it was meant to liberate people from.
So after these intense internal reflections, they come back together.
Yes. After these intense, deeply personal internal reflections, the crystalline walls of the crescent slowly dissolve, and the groups are once again reunited, facing each other but with newly opened eyes. Layla, her voice resonant, declares, we will not unsee.
Can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Right. Rachel adds, with quiet determination, we will question louder. Anna Grace asserts, with renewed conviction, we will walk the Gospels, not quote them. This collective shift signifies a move from dogmatic certainty to living embodiment of faith.
From reciting to living.
And Arvin's benediction encapsulates this segment, a profound synthesis of their journey. Only those who know their shadow can lead the way to dawn. This self-awareness, this confrontation with internal hypocrisy and fear, is depicted as the essential prerequisite for true collective awakening, for leading humanity out of its current dark age.
Knowing the shadow to find the dawn. Okay, this sets the stage for something bigger, doesn't it? Arvin's address.
Absolutely. Here's where it gets really interesting, and the narrative takes a profound cosmic turn. Arvin then delivers his grand address, The Spiral of Awakening and the Four Yugas.
The Four Yugas. The Hindu ages of the world.
Exactly. But this isn't just a speech. It happens in the Hall of Mirrors, a structure that the source describes as literally bending space and time to suit the message, creating this almost hallucinatory yet deeply insightful experience.
Bending space and time. Okay.
Arvon, having fostered these debates, shifts from debate facilitator to profound teacher. He explains that time is not linear like a river flowing from past to future, but a spiral, echoing patterns found throughout the cosmos, galaxies, whirlpools, even our fingerprints. Time, he states, is the learning curve of the soul.
Time is a spiral, not a line. A different way to view progress or regress.
Right. He then introduces the ancient Hindu concept of the four yugas, or ages of descending truth, a cyclical understanding of cosmic time and human consciousness. He lays them out.
Let's hear them.
First, the Satya Yuga, Golden Age. A time of pure truth, no lies, direct divine communication, earth as temple. Ended by forgetting, a loss of inherent wisdom.
The ideal state.
Then the Treta Yuga, age of ritual. Gods became less frequent, righteousness stood on three legs, one fallen. Formal temples were built as humanity sought to contain the divine.
A step down.
Next, the Dvapara Yuga, age of doubt. Duality takes root, magic fades, suffering deepens, God appears as trickster teacher, forcing humanity inward.
More complexity, more challenge.
And finally, the Kali Yuga, age of sin dark age. Arvind states with a direct gaze, this is our age.
Our current time, according to this view.
Yes, an age, he explains, marked by machines, pervasive lies, rampant ego, insatiable greed, pollution. But here's the crucial, radical reframing. Arvind asserts that every scripture you hold dear was born in this age. Islam, Christianity, modern Judaism, Buddhism in decline, all emerged within the conditions of this dark age.
Whoa. So all our major religions are products of the Dark Age.
That's the implication presented, that our understanding of divine guidance has always been filtered through the specific challenges and distortions of this time. He emphasizes, however, that this isn't the end, but rather a chrysalis, a period of transformation.
A Dark Age, but one with potential for metamorphosis. That's slightly more hopeful.
Slightly. He then delves into the devil's deal from the Kali Purush story, a narrative from ancient Vedic texts. King Parikshit grants Kali Purush, the embodiment of the devil of this age, sanctuary in 4 specific places: money, lust, alcohol, and gambling.
The classic vices.
Right. Arvind explains how this dominion later expanded to encompass every corrupted system in our world. And then he drops this chilling bombshell. The devil does not need to kill you, he only needs to entertain you.
Entertainment as the devil's tool.
This implies a very subtle, insidious form of control, not through overt evil, but through distraction, superficiality, attachment to pleasure, keeping humanity perpetually distracted from deeper truths.
That hits close to home in the modern world. This leads to a question about economics.
It does. A drone asks, why are we talking about religion and economics in the same breath? Arvin's answer is direct, unblinking, and utterly profound. Because money is the most mentioned topic in the Bible, and the Buddha renounced wealth, and Islam warns against usury, and the Vedas spoke of abundance without ownership.
Connecting the dots across traditions.
And then he delivers the definitive statement. Your economics is your real religion. This suggests our economic systems reflect our deepest values, or lack thereof, revealing where our true worship and devotion lie, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Ouch. That's a challenging thought. Economics as our real religion.
He then vividly contrasts scarcity versus abundance visually. Images of hoarding morph into visions of AI generating goods based on need, drones planting trees, robots building sustainable homes. He proclaims, you are no longer in an age of scarcity, you are simply trapped in scarcity programming.
So the problem isn't lack of resources, but a mindset.
That's the argument, a manufactured mindset of deprivation. He then proposes a new dharma for Kali Yuga, a guiding principle. Discernment. Can you tell the real from the illusion? Can you distinguish truth from manufactured narratives, religious, political, or economic?
Discernment as the key skill for this age. Makes sense.
A child's question then cuts through the intellectual discourse. If this age is so bad, then why was I born now?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Arvin's answer is truly beautiful. Because warriors are never born in paradise. They're born in the dark to bring the dawn. It reframes the challenges not as punishment, but as opportunity for profound spiritual growth and action.
Born in the dark to bring the dawn. I like that.
He then points to the audience, both in the garden and by extension, to you, our listener, implying you are next on the spiral of awakening. He illustrates this spiral with historical figures, not as prophets to be worshipped, but as nodes of awakening, individuals who shifted consciousness. It emphasizes the shift is happening now, within them and within you.
Placing the responsibility and the potential squarely on the individual listening. So moving towards the convergence, the final revelations. Where does this happen?
The final prophecies are discussed in a chamber without borders, a luminous spiral pavilion where walls are made of light and constantly expand. It's designed to dissolve boundaries. The atmosphere is charged, and the question Arvin poses is direct, almost unnerving. Are you ready to meet who you say you've been waiting for?
Setting the stage for the big reveal. What are the final conflicts or dilemmas discussed?
The Christian dilemma revisits the Second Coming, particularly linking Jesus and the Mahdi, the Islamic messianic figure. How can those denying Christ's divinity speak for his return? Michael St. Jude calls it the devil-loving half-truths. Imam Farid suggests Jesus returns not to contradict himself, but to remind us what he truly meant.
Reminding, not dividing. The Muslim conundrum.
It focuses on their Mahdi. Layla Nasser warns, certainty is not always clarity. If our signs are misread, we might follow the Dajjal and call him Mahdi. She radically suggests both Jesus and Mahdi are aspects of awakening, not just single figures to wait for.
Aspects of consciousness, not just people. That changes things.
Yeah.
And the Jewish anxiety.
Fear of Armalus, the deceiver. Rachel Cohen says, we fear deception more than hope. We paralyze prophecy. Reuven wonders if they expect a warrior king, but might receive a gardener, highlighting how rigid expectations blind them.
Fear paralyzing prophecy, a recurring theme. The Hindu interjection.
Yadi and Brahmananda speak of Kalki, the 10th avatar. We have waited, but we also believe he walks among us now. Yadi challenges, perhaps we are so full of prophecies we no longer see the one standing before us. It questions the act of waiting itself.
Is the waiting preventing the seeing? And the atheist perspective?
Dr. Lee Wenho, the technocrat, sees patterns, not prophecies. What you call Messiah, Mahdi, or Kalki, I call the evolutionary frontier of human consciousness. The next stage of development. Yadi smiles. Same spiral, different words.
Finding common ground between science and spirit again. So the big question, who is the Messiah? Why the silence?
A drone asks exactly that. Arvin steps in with a profound, paradoxical answer. Because the Messiah is not here to speak, he is here to remind you how to listen.
To listen, not to follow blindly.
What if he is already here and you missed him because he came as a refugee, or someone overlooked, shifting the responsibility entirely back to humanity's perception?
That's a powerful challenge. How does this resolve visually or conceptually?
It leads to a collapse of certainty. Holograms of messianic figures distort, merge, prophecies blend. Arvin says, you confuse the form with the frequency. Then the two empty chairs, symbolizing awaited saviors, light up.
And someone appears.
Two figures enter. A young child, maybe 10, barefoot, holding a bird, and an old woman, blind but radiant. Arvind declares the future always begins with the child and ends with the elder. These are your messiahs, not to be worshipped, but to be remembered.
The beginning and the end, innocence and wisdom as the Messiah. Not a single figure.
Exactly. Not leaders to follow, but archetypes to awaken within. The segment culminates with Arvind's call. Prophecy is not promise, it is possibility. You are not witnesses, you are participants. The age ends not when the Messiah comes, but when you become messianic.
Become the change. Embody the messianic qualities yourself. Wow. This invitation leads into the final segment.
Right into the gathering of light, toward the final war or final awakening. Arvind begins by stating, history repeats when myth is dismissed as metaphor. He emphasizes the final battle is not fought with bombs, but belief. Not for land, but for the human soul.
The battlefield is the mind again.
Exactly. What if the battlefield is our minds? The answer comes as each speaker steps forward in the last debate, which is actually a series of individual vows, releasing old fears.
What kind of vows?
Imam Farid. I release the fear that my God must defeat yours, Rachel Cohen. I release the fear that we waited too long, Father Klein. I release the fear that grace belongs only to my creed. Even Sheikh Tariq tearfully murmurs, I release the need to control the gate of heaven.
And even Tariq, that's a major shift.
And Dr. Lee, the atheist. I release the fear that wonder is unscientific. Arvind concludes, the war ends here, or it does not end at all. It's about individual commitment to letting go.
So what replaces these old paradigms?
Arvind defines the geometry of evil, the trinity of the present darkness, material greed, religious tyranny, and scientific arrogance, and counterpoints it with the new dharma, generosity, mystical wisdom, and scientific humility, a clear roadmap for transformation.
Greed versus generosity, tyranny versus wisdom, arrogance versus humility.
Got
it. Is there a final warning?
Yes. A cloaked woman representing the devil appears. She simply states, not all will choose the light. The devil will not argue. He will act. A reminder that darkness persists by action. Arvind clarifies, the war is not against flesh, but fear.
Fear is the ultimate adversary. And then a vision of hope.
He projects a vibrant map of possibility, renewal technologies, peace education, interfaith sanctuaries, a global spiritual economy. He concludes, this is the kingdom of heaven on earth. It begins with your next thought.
Placing the power to create that future right here, right now, in our thinking. So the final morning arrives.
Yes. As the final morning in the garden circle arrives, there's this profound, sacred silence. The sky is crystalline, flowers hum with energy. Everyone is drawn, without instruction, to the central ring. Arvind waits by brilliant white stone. A projection asks, when this age began, the devil asked for a place. What now, when this age ends?
Calling back the Kali Purush story.
Exactly. Recounting the devil's dominion in gambling, gold, lust, alcohol, falsehood, Arvind declares, the lease is up, the contract must be torn.
And the stone.
The white stone with a deep hum cracks open, revealing intense, pure light. Etched inside are 4 words, truth, love, discipline, wonder. The 4 new pillars of the coming age.
Replacing the devil's domains. What happens next is transformative.
Hugely, we witness visions, temples, churches, mosques, synagogues shimmering and dissolving, not destruction, but transformation into gardens, schools of wisdom, meditation halls, healing sanctuaries.
Structures dissolving into functions, maybe?
That's a great way to put it. Arvind's insight echoes, in heaven there is no religion. Because when you feel the presence, there is nothing left to mediate.
When connection is direct, the intermediary isn't needed.
This transformation extends to humanity. Visions of cooperation, imam and rabbi planting trees, mystic and engineer building wells, sadhu and monk in refugee camps. Arvind calls it release from old burdens, divisions. Then the young girl places her hand on the cracked stone.
The child again.
A voice echoes, seemingly from the collective consciousness. The age of separation is over, the age of communion begins. A burst of light fills the dome.
And the devil figure.
In a powerful symbolic moment, the cloaked woman returns. Removes her cloak, revealed as beautiful but exhausted, relieved, she whispers, I was only here because you made room, now that room is gone. She dissolves into wind.
Her power depended on humanity giving her space.
Yeah.
Wow. The age actually turns.
The Yuga turns. The spiral above rotates. A golden seed embeds in the soil. Arvind declares, this is the Satya Yuga, the age of truth. An age where economy is based on need, not greed. Family extends to all. Technology serves soul. He presents the 12 agreements of the new age.
Such as?
Principles like speak truth without cruelty, abandon dogma, embrace discernment, protect the earth as your body, live without fear.
foundational principles for a new reality.
And the ultimate truth revealed. When God is present, religion becomes redundant. True spiritual connection transcends formal structures. With this shift, Arvin asserts, the capacity for spiritual understanding will increase 100-fold.
A quantum leap in consciousness. So wrapping this all up,
Our deep dive into the Garden of Last Debates wasn't just about understanding complex arguments or navigating theological intricacies. It was about witnessing this profound transformation of perspective, from ancient conflicts rooted in fear and separation to a breathtaking vision of global awakening rooted in compassion and unity.
exactly. And the most important takeaway for you, our listener, is that the end never came. What came instead was your awakening, or the potential for it. You are not just a witness to these ideas or an observer of these debates. You are a participant in this unfolding consciousness. The question is no longer, who is right? The question now is, are you ready to create what you wished had been?
That's the challenge.
Because the war truly is internal, and the awakening begins with you in your very next thought.